Computer today. So briefly today, what I want to do is revisit and look at writing proportional equations. I feel like that was the thing that people are still a little bit confused on. And based on how the math space is, I haven't looked at the IXL too much. But based on the way the math space was going, I think a lot of people were struggling with it. So we're going to get started. It's just going to be a couple of short things today. I should have you out of here in about 15 minutes or so. And then your homework for today, originally we were going to do the quiz, but like I said, I don't think that all of you are ready for it, and we won't have class tomorrow to finish it. So instead, today we're going to be doing a review. It's an 11 question review in MathSpace. And it's very similar to the test. So if you go in, you take the review, you do well on it, that means you're probably going to do well on the quiz. If you go in, you do the review, and you really struggle with it, that means you're probably going to struggle on the quiz. So you'll know whether or not you should be doing any extra practice this weekend, which you're welcome to do anyway. But it may be worth writing this down. Since you do get to use your notes on quizzes, having this could be helpful. But that is up to you. I'm not going to make everybody take notes if you don't want to. So to write a proportional equation from a table, what you need to do is first select one data point that is not 0, 0. So let's look at maybe this data point. And my pen keeps falling apart. I gotta get this thing fixed. So let's look at the data point 2, 7. So this one right here. So what we're gonna do, getting really sick of this pen not working. We're going to take the y value of the point, so in this case that's our 7, and divide it by the x value. So we're going to do 7 divided by x is 2. This is equal to our m. Then all we have to do is substitute that in for m in our equation, y equals mx. So we get y equals 7 over 2x. Bing, and we're done. That's all we got to do for these. Easy as that. Any questions about that? No? Okay. So let's look at some examples. I want you all to try these 3 problems. I guess I should probably label them, huh? We'll call this one A, this one B, and this one C. So I want you all to try to write equations for these 3 tables. Janie, that is correct for A. Jasmine, you flipped your X and Y, but otherwise you're good. Addie, that's correct, but you can simplify it. Sawyer, that's good. Janie and Addie, that is also good. Again, Addie, you can simplify it. And C is correct too, Addie. Jasmine, again, you're flipping your X and Y. I don't know why you're doing that. Are you doing that on purpose? I feel like you are.
No. First you told me to switch it on the other way, so I do it on this way, and then you told me to switch it again.
What? No. I meant like you're flipping your X and your Y when you're solving for your M. So Tristan, you also flipped your X and Y when solving for your M. Sawyer and Janie, that's correct for C. There you go, Tristan, but those aren't equations, so, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna go over at least the first one. Everybody should be trying these. A lot of you are not, but I guess that's okay. So for the first one, we're gonna take any point. I'm gonna use the simplest one. We're gonna use 3 and 1. We're gonna take the y value, which is 3, divided by our x value, which is 1. This is our m. So the equation for this one is y equals, we could write 3 over 1, or we can just simplify that to 3x. That's all we got to do. So a couple of you were doing 1 over 3 or 2 over 6. You just had x and y backwards. So make sure you're doing y over x. Okay. Let's see. Charlotte, Gracie, Carmen, Candler, Sawyer. I know, never mind. I heard from Sawyer. Aya, Dakota, Sol, Luis, Tyson, Don, Ryan.
I'm figuring it out.
Okay. I'm just checking in with all of you. Those are people I haven't heard from yet. How's it going, Taven?
Well, I don't really know how to make equations out of these, so I'm confused.
Sol, that one's good. So, Gracie, again, take any point you want in the table. That's all right, Taven. Take the y, divide it by the x. Then that's going to be equal to m. Then you're going to plug m, into the equation, y equals mx. So for the second one, somebody give me one of the y values.
4.
4. And what is the corresponding x value?
1.
Yep, 1. So this is equal to m. Now we're just going to put this into my equation. Y equals, and again, we could write 4 over 1, but 4 over 1 is just 4. So y equals 4x. That easy. So everybody try it with C. Now write it as an equation, Tristan.
What do you mean write it as an equation?
So y equals mx.
After, okay.
You solve for m. Now write it as a y equals mx equation. Jasmine, y equals mx. Not x equals my. Good, Tristan.
You're confusing and I'm stopping.
Almost, Dakota. Don't forget to divide the y value by your x, though.
I kept thinking that when you were saying write it as an equation, you meant like how I get it. Like
No.
Like,
I mean, write an equation that describes the data here.
yeah. But yeah, you meant
Okay.
the official
So
how.
I'm very glad that we are actually going over this because apparently this was a little bit confusing for a lot of you. So let's go. This time I'm going to pick a different point. So I'm going to go ahead and use the biggest one here. So we're going to do 28 is my y over 12 is my x. You could have picked 14 over 6 or 7 over 3. This is equal to m. Now this time around, we need to reduce this before we can finish it. So we can't just write 28 over 12. So we could divide both of these by 4, and that would give us 7 over 3. So 7 over 3 is my m. That means I write my equation as y equals 7 over 3x. Okay, is this starting to make a little bit more sense?
Can I write the equations on my phone? Like get like a little drawing whiteboard on my phone and then just do it on them?
I mean,
Okay.
sure. Here. So, okay, if you are struggling with this still, make sure you write down these two things. Take the y value of a point and divide it by the x value. That is going to be your m. Then you're just substituting in m for the m in y equals mx. So all we did here was we took the y value from this point, 7, divided it by the x value from that same point, so 2. So this would be our x, this would be our y. We did y over x. We set that equal to m, and then we just plug in m right here. So we still have y equals, and then instead of m, we're writing our new number, and then x, and that's it. I'll give you guys maybe 30 seconds to just write this down in case you need it. Okay. If you need more of these notes, then I can help you with it after class. So the last one I want to look at before we take off today, because like I said, it's going to be a pretty short day. We want to look at how to write proportional equations from graphs. And it's actually pretty much the same as with tables. The first thing we need to do is find a point on the graph besides 0, 0. So in this case, I'm going to use this point right here. We have a y value of 2 and an x value of 1. then we're going to do the exact same thing we just did. So we're going to take the y, which is 2, divide it by the x, which is 1. This is equal to m. Now that we have m, we just write it as y equals mx. So y equals, again, 2 over 1 is just 2. Y equals 2x. That's all we have to do. Choose a point. What? No, I didn't. It's a weird font because of the auto design from PowerPoint. I don't know why it did it like that, but I don't know. Looks kind of neat. So again, make sure if you're confused about this stuff, write these down so that you can use them for practice. But notice I could have also picked this point right here, 4 and 2. We'd have the y value of 4 divided by the x value 2. This is also just 2. Or we could have chose like 8, 4. Tried the same thing, 8 over 4 equals 2. All of these are going to be the same, no matter which points you choose. All right, so the last thing you need to do, if you can write linear equations for each of these 3 graphs, you're good to go. Oh, whoops. Why is it doing that? I'm trying to write C. So if you can get the formulas for these 3 graphs, then you are done, and I will let you leave to go work on your review. Like I said, the review is only 11 questions. Everybody needs to do it because it's going to give you a really good idea of where you're at with this stuff. Addie, that's a point. We want formulas. So they need to be y equals mx formulas. Jasmine, same thing. Those are numbers. Those are not formulas. Good, Addie. Good, Janie. Addie, that's good for B. Gracie, double check your point. Jasmine, double check A and C. Tristan, double check C. Janie, that's good on B. Addie, that's good on C.
The only reason I did that for C is because like I don't like you don't know precisely because you can't get it exactly.
Right there is a point that you can use on C.
Okay, got it.
Almost Dakota, make sure you do y divided by x. So you have them flipped. Right now you're doing x divided by y. Jasmine, still double check that. So again, make sure you're doing y divided by x. You did x divided by y the first time. Janie, that is correct for C. Sawyer, nope, you've got them flipped. Janie, as long as you know what the homework is, yeah, you're good to go. So, okay, I'm going to talk about, Tristan, that's good for C. I'm going to talk about the first one because a lot of people seem to be having trouble with it. So make sure your y value is this one. So our y value is 1 here. Our x value is 3 if you're choosing this point. So we have 1 divided by 3 is our m. So that means that y equals 1/3 x. So that's how A works. A lot of people were doing y equals 3x. That just means that you had these flipped. So you were doing x divided by y. Sawyer, that is the correct m. Make sure you write it as a formula. See you later, Tristan.
Wait, how do we figure out B? Because there's no point on it.
I can give you one, but you should be able to see one right here. So Brody, right now we're just practicing writing formulas from graphs. You missed most of class, so you're probably going to have to watch the video to get the notes on this. But for homework, we've got it's called the proportional variation review. It's in MathSpace. It's just 11 questions, but it should give you a good indication of where you are at with this material. Dakota, you're good on B and C. Looked like Sawyer, you're good on B and C. Jasmine, that's good for C. Carmen, that is the correct M. Now write it as an actual equation. Taven, which one are you working on? Okay, so double check where this one's at. So remember that your y value is right here, your x value is right here. Sol, that is correct. For C. Jasmine, was that for A? Dakota, that's good for A. Jasmine, that's also good for A. Carmen, that's good for B. See you later, Dakota. Barbie just forgot an X. Mistype. Always fun. Okay, so those of you that are left, who can tell me what's the y value for this point? That's correct, Sol. So for my point right here, what's the y value? Not 10. So for my point on B, what is the y value? Carmen, that is correct for C. Almost, Taven, you've just gotten flipped. That's not true, Don. Yeah, so the y value is 5. The x value is just 1. So our m is equal to 5 over 1, which means our equation, we can just substitute this in. Again, because it's 5 over 1, we can just write 5. We don't need to write the divided by 1. So y equals 5x for the second one. All right. You can give me the last one, then you're good to go. If you are confused, please let me know in chat so I can try to help you out with it. That's the correct slope, Taven. Now just put it in an equation. Close. Don't forget your x. Yep, there you go, Taven. Good. Nicely done, sir. See you later. Okay, so those of you that are left, remember, we want to start by finding the y coordinate of our point on C. So can anybody tell me what the y coordinate of our point on C is? The point's right here. Remember, the y-axis is the one that goes up and down. The x-axis is the one that goes left to right. Let's see, I know Jasmine and Addie are done. Gracie, did you finish this one? I don't remember.
No, not yet.
Addie, give me just a minute. Okay, so Gracie, Charlotte, Candler, Luis, Don, or Brody. Can one of you tell me what is the y value of the point on C? So this point right here. Yes, good, Charlotte. Almost, Gracie, you've got it flipped. So remember, it's y divided by x. So our y value is 3 for this point. What is the x value, Charlotte? Or Louise or Brody here? Yep, good, Gracie. Dawn or... Yep, x equals 4. So we're going to take our y divided by our x, so 3 divided by 4, and this is our n. Then all we need to do is write that as the m in our equation. And remember, the equation is y equals mx. So we're just going to replace this m with 3/4. So y equals, and then instead of m, we're going to write 3/4 x. And ta-da, we're done. That's all we have to do. You find a point, take the y, divide it by the x, and then write that in our equation. Okay? Okay, let me stop recording for a minute.